In this episode of the Bannerlord Perks Guide, we will look at the bow skill perks. By the end of this video, you will have a complete understanding of what each one does and which to pick based on your specific needs. I put timestamps in the description for your convenience, and without further ado, let's get started. Bow control. This perk was a little tricky to figure out how to test, but I decided to superimpose two videos on top of each other so we can see exactly what difference our aiming reticle has both with and without the perk. We can see a much tighter aim with the perk. The Captain perk gives plus 5% damage to bow troops, which by itself isn't very good, but can be decent if you stack enough damage modifiers from other perks with it. Dead aim. Bias alert, I love this perk. That being said, it does make a significant difference to our damage output. We averaged 116 damage without the perk and 143 with, picking up nearly 24% more damage. This may not be necessary in the late game, but it really helps a lot early and mid game, allowing us to one-shot most troops. For the Captain perk, we can pick up plus 20 for bow equipped troops in the same formation. I'm a huge fan of skill increase as it increases both accuracy and damage at the same time. Dead aim is my pick 100% of the time. Picking for Captain, dead aim as well, since skill increase gives more than just a damage bonus. Bondkin. Armor reduction perks should act in a similar way to damage increase perks. This assumption breaks down though at the lower tier armor. There was virtually no difference against looters and only a 4% difference when shooting at our horse with the highest armor in the game at 125. The same can be said for the Captain perk, only giving a tiny 5% reduction. Not good. Rangers Swiftness. Sometimes I wake up from a nightmare where I was dreaming about testing yet another movement speed perk in Bannerlord. This is the stuff horror movies are made of. We moved while reloading for over 20 seconds and there's literally zero difference between having or not having the perk. The Captain perk at least gives a flat movement speed bonus, but 3% is not enough to make a difference. For our main character, Bondkin is the pick as the armor reduction, even though small, will help us out in the late game. For the Captain perk, it will depend upon what modifiers you are stacking. If you stack a Captain with damage boosts, go Bondkin. Movement speed perks, go for Ranger's Swiftness. Quick adjustments. For the testing of this perk, I apologize if anyone gets motion sick from this. We can see a huge difference with and without the perk. This is particularly useful for aiming at fast moving enemies up close, like a cavalry charge. The Captain perk boosts the accuracy of our archers, which is quite a nice bonus. I prefer accuracy over damage. Rapid fire. This is one of those perks that we don't even need to test to know it's good. You can immediately tell the difference with and without it. Good job, Tailworlds, we need more of this. We tested by taking 5 shots, and with the perk, we nearly shot all 5 in the same time it took us to shoot 4 without the perk. The Captain perk giving 5% faster bow reload speed is interesting. The faster an archer releases his arrows, the more damage per second they will do. For our main character, rapid fire is just too good to pass up. For the Captain perk, this is a tough one. If you have ranged units with low ammo count, such as the Empire Archer line, then accuracy will be more important. For all others, consider taking rapid fire for the reload speed. Merry Men. While plus 5 is a pretty small bonus, I still think party size is a top tier bonus. It's never a bad thing to have more troops on your side. For the Governor perk, you can never go wrong with having more militia. Mounted Archery. For those who aspire to be like the Great Khan, I present Mounted Archery. We tested 3 shots while moving quickly, and while it's tough to see, there is a big difference. If we look at both with and without together, we can see a much tighter reticle. A quick note, this perk has more effect the faster you're moving, so sitting still has no effect, and moving at maximum speed has a maximum effect. The Governor perk seems a little underwhelming at plus 20% security from garrisoned archers, but it can help for some newly conquered settlements that need to be stabilized. Personally, I pick Merry Men for my main character 100% of the time, regardless of my build. However, the Mounted Archery perk is legitimately good, so if you do a lot of mounted combat, this is still a strong pick. I just prefer party size to everything else. For the Governor pick, I prefer Merry Men for the militia increase. Strong bows. I'm so happy to not see a 2% damage perk. 8% is a very big increase to damage output. In our testing, we shot 10 times with and without the perk, and the results were about as expected, picking up on average 6% more damage overall. For the Captain perk, we see another 5% damage increase, but for tier 3 troops and above. Not great, but not bad either. Trainer. This perk gives passive XP bonuses to both our companions and our bow-equipped troops. The nice thing here is that both perks are tagged as party leader, meaning we have both active at all times. For companions, it adds 6 XP per day to the lowest bow skill, and for archers, it adds 3 XP each. Adding XP to a skill that our companions will not be using is only useful for raising the main level, but every little bit helps, I guess. The pick here is easy. Strong bow 100% of the time. Discipline. I'd love to see plus 50% bonuses, but unfortunately this one is just a tease. In our testing, we were able to hold our aim for 7 seconds without the perk and 10 seconds with. I can't ever remember a situation where having 10 seconds to aim at something would have been useful. Another thing to point out, this perk is really helpful with low tier bows, but at level 150 we should have graduated to higher tier by then. The Governor perk is a different story. +1 loyalty is a massive bonus, even for settlements not having issues with rebellions. Higher loyalty will also give a construction speed increase. Hunter Clan. The hardest part of being an archer is usually dealing with cavalry. This perk can help with that some. We see from our testing an increase of over 26% to horses with the perk. This perk is great for mounted archery builds, as taking on other cavalry with ranged weapons is safer than dueling with a lance or a glaive up close. The Governor perk is quite good too at 15% wage reduction for garrison troops. For our main, the pick is Hunter Clan 100% of the time. For Governor, I think Discipline is the pick unless you are specifically building a wage reduction companion that stacks several other wage reduction perks. +1 loyalty is just too good. Eagle Eye. For those aspiring to be a medieval sniper, this is the perk for you. In testing, we can see a pretty big increase in the zoom. My biggest issue with this perk is that you have to relearn how high to aim above the target, making for a frustrating couple of battles while you're adjusting. The secondary perk increases spotting distance by exactly 10%. This can make a big difference for leveling scouting faster. Skirmish Phase Master. There are a few things in Bannerlord more frustrating than being taken down at distance from ranged troops. This perk helps mitigate some of that with a 10% reduction. In testing, we actually see a 12% reduction to damage. The Captain perk is an interesting one, as I generally don't like my archers to take direct engagements. They are usually behind a shield wall which soaks up the arrows for them. For our main, I take Skirmish Phase Master 100% of the time. If you have a companion that will be leading a caravan, then take Eagle Eye, as the extra vision can help them avoid being captured. Bullseye. For a Captain perk, 10% more XP for ranged troops is great, since ranged units tend to inflict the bulk of the casualties during a battle. The Governor perk adding 2 XP per day is good if you need to level up low tier troops by leaving them in a garrison. Renowned Archer. Increasing the morale of our ranged troops is not all that useful, as they tend to be safe behind a shield wall, not making much use of morale. Cheaper upgrade and recruitment is okay, but by the time we are level 200, money is rarely a consideration. Main character, pick Renowned Archer and Bullseye for Governor. Deep Quivers. Picking up an extra +3 arrows per quiver is really nice. In the testing, we can see having 3 stacked Bondkin arrows without the perk gives 96 arrows, and with the perk 105. The secondary perk is nice, as it's a party leader perk which we can use at all times, and +1 arrow per quiver per troop is great for long battles. Horse Master. Being able to equip any bow on horseback is a nice feature. The noble longbow is extremely powerful and can only be used on foot without this perk. The damage output is incredible. I tested both the noble and the noble longbow side by side for a comparison. The biggest benefit to the noble longbow is the damage. In every other category, the noble bow outshines it. Faster draw speed, projectile speed, and a tighter reticle for aiming. The Captain perk is amazing, as +30 to bow skill for mounted archers is insane. The only situation where I will take Horsemaster for a main is if I'm having issues one-shotting enemy troops from close range. The noble longbow will shred anything it touches. However, for medium to long distance shots, the accuracy and projectile speed of the noble bow can't be beat, and Deep Quivers for extra arrows is my pick. For a companion leading other mounted archers, Horsemaster is the pick. Quick Draw. I find this perk particularly useful in a siege battle. 25% faster aim is quite nice when you need to get accurate shots off quickly and then return to cover to avoid being shot. In testing, it doesn't seem like much, but in a real archery duel, tenths of a second can make a huge difference. The Governor perk adding 5% tax is just bad. Salvo. Maybe I'm doing something wrong here. Can somebody let me know in the comments why none of these movement speed perks work? Both with and without the perk were exactly the same.
Holy Jesus. What is that? What the f is that?
For the Governor perk, 20% security for ranged troops is marginal at best. The pick for our main is Quick Draw. For a Governor, Salvo is a bit more useful, but not by much. Deadshot. The description says this increases damage and bow speed, but it actually changes more than that. Notice the speed to reload and shoot is the same from level 1 to 275 without the perk, but faster with the perk and even faster at 330. Also, the accuracy is much better at higher levels since the reticle is tighter at higher levels. The biggest difference is with the damage though, as we can see from the testing. At level 1, 66 damage on average. Level 275 without the perk, 80 damage. 275 with the perk, 88 damage. And finally 330 with the perk, 103 damage. That's nearly double from level 1 to 330. We are nearing the end of the video, which means it's time for the bonus. The Rambo build. If you've ever seen Rambo, you'll know that you should never bring a knife to a gunfight, or a sword to a bow fight in our case. With the help of a few perks, we are going to recreate Rambo in Bannerlord and make the nastiest arrow slinger that ever walked Calradia. The rules are simple, bow and arrow only. No melee weapons taking up our arrow slots. The perks we will need to achieve this are many, but all in categories that would work well together. Starting out with the two-handed perk Vandal, which reduces armor for all weapons we use. Next, we take all bow perks that will increase our mobility and decrease movement speed penalties and aiming penalties for moving. Since we are fighting with a bow at melee distances, we need to be agile. In the athletics category, we take anything that helps our movement speed, including reducing armor weight. Roguery, we pick up a few utility perks that will help us survive and finish off with a movement speed perk in medicine and an engineering perk that gives us 50% more arrows during a siege. For our loadout, we take a noble bow with 3 quivers of stacked Bondkin arrows. For armor, we pick the best in class that qualify as civilian armor. This will allow us the greatest mobility but still have great armor and decent survivability. Our loadout weighs less than 14 in total. While most troops would run away at the sight of a massive army approaching, not Rambo. He runs into the enemy with his mighty bow, collecting as many souls as he can snag. As soon as the enemy are within melee distance, we simply move back to get enough space for another shot. Enemy has a pesky shield on the way, no problem. Kick him in the nuts and send him to the ground with an arrow. The real strength of this build comes to light during a siege. With 156 shots before we run dry, we can easily rack up 100 kills or more. Although it ruins our Chad image, we will still pick defenders off the wall from a distance until our siege towers are in place. Once they are, we are the first ones at the gate and rain down arrows upon everyone. Since we have great mobility, we can easily outmaneuver everyone and continue to shoot while avoiding most damage. From this close of distance, every shot is a one shot to down them. Eventually we get lazy and whiff a shot from close range, but I hope you can see the power of the melee bow build. Don't forget to stab that like button before you leave, it really helps me out a ton. If you want to see more videos and guides just like this, consider subscribing. Let me know in the comment section below what topic you would like to see covered on the channel. Up next, we will be looking at all of the crossbow perks. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.